Well, good morning, everyone. Today I'm proud to stand beside my colleague and friend, the MLA for Chestermere Rocky-View, Leela here. As Wildrose Shadow Minister for Democracy and Accountability, I want for all of her hard work on this private member's legislation designed to strengthen Alberta's democracy. It's clear in the last election, Albertans voted to clean house, to change how the legislature operated, and to send a message they wanted to see things done differently. They said clearly they want legislation that bars government and MLAs from putting their own self-interest above the people that they serve. Unfortunately, these type of sweeping changes have been slow to come, if at all, and so far any initiatives for reform have been punted to a committee that has rarely met. We have tried to ban government using taxpayer resources to curry favor with voters during election periods. We have been a check against patronage appointments. And today we are announcing new legislation that would put power in between elections back in the voters' hands where it belongs. Albertans can be reassured that Wildrose will continue to act in their best interest, to put forward ideas and policies that seek to make Edmonton work for all Albertans. For far too long, Albertans have felt like they have been pushed to the sidelines on major decisions by an MLA or by the party the MLA represents. We have seen MLAs recently make decisions where they feel they can act with immunity, act with brazen disregard for the people that elected them. We've seen MLAs and their parties enact policies that they never campaigned on and that are negatively impacting jobs, the economy, and the people's livelihoods from across this province. Wildrose believes Alberta deserves better. Under Leela's Bill 206, the Recall Act, Albertans will have a tool and a lever to make sure MLAs stay accountable to their constituents. It will have a high enough threshold to provide stability for our democratic system, but will put voters right back in the driver's seat. Now, during a time of massive job loss across the province, recall legislation will send a message that being elected a politician does not mean 4 years of guaranteed employment. It will send a message to Albertans that if the government or MLAs do not consult with them properly before major decisions, then they may not be MLAs no more. With that said, I am very happy to pass the mic to Leela, who will give us a brief technical rundown of the bill.
Thank you. Thank you to my friend from Rimbey Rocky Mountain House Sundry. Good morning. The premise of this legislation is simple: to ensure any member of the Legislative Assembly stays truly accountable to their constituents. Unfortunately, some elected officials may become holden to power and influence of office, stop representing their constituents in order to toe the line or to endorse bad policy. Bill 206, the Recall Act, provides a release valve for these situations. If passed, the bill would provide a mechanism where approximately 6,000 signatures are collected in a constituency in 60 days on sanctioned petitions. An electorate would have the ability to recall their local MLA. The threshold of 20% is by no means impossibly high, so that it could never be reached, but it's also not too low, so we can ensure that the law is not used frivolously. Any canvasser pushing for recall cannot be paid in any way, which would prevent wealthy groups from having undue influence, ensuring the campaign is truly grassroots. And speaking of grassroots, I am proud to have introduced this legislation that has been adopted again and again as the party policy by Wildrose. It also complements nicely with the legislation introduced by my friend and colleague Rick Strankman for Bill 203, who introduced the legislation to also improve the strength seat here in Alberta. I'm extremely hopeful that all members of all political parties will take a really long look at this legislation and take the time to give this bill due consideration, as it only serves to improve the accountability of the elected officials within our province. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions.